Sure, tell me if it's not okay. Just yeah. Hello and welcome. This is Soul Art Day. Here we are, the 8th annual International Soul Art Day. Amazing when you think about it, like all that has happened in these years. And one of the things that we started to add in when the technology was available were these conversations throughout the day. So I'm so excited to dive in with all of us and everyone when you're listening as well and we're speaking, we're all in this conversation. And the topic is art as medicine. So just start to feel into that for yourself, what that even means, art as medicine. And I think we will all have stories about that. So I thought we could start and go around our circle and introduce ourselves and kind of share what that even means to us. And then that will open the space for a conversation on that. Okay, so I can start it off. I am Laura Hollick, the creator of Soul Art and Soul Art Day. So excited to be here. Just, the whole journey started because of art as medicine. Soul art was my own healing path. And then, as we heal and we embody the messages of our healing, it becomes the medicine. And that's, Soul Art Day is a result of that. Is that, these processes channeled through me, and then I was able to bring them forth. So, we'll just start with like a little snippet to kind of feel into the space. And I'll just acknowledge too, I feel like we're sort of all fluttering into the circle right now. So I'm just going to kind of take a moment to land it. I don't know if anyone else is feeling that too. Just take a moment to land into the space. And that's really where it starts. So we bring our presence to what we're doing, that we have the chance to create medicine. So we'll start with introducing the ladies that are here with me in the studio, and then something about art as medicine. So Lainey Love Dalby, would you like to share?
Sure. Hello, beloved. So beautiful to be here with you today. I'm Lainey Love Dalby. I'm here from Brooklyn, New York. I'm on a mission to free human spirits to sparkle shamelessly and step into their authentic power. And for me, I use many different modalities to help do that, but utilizing art as medicine in the sacred circles that I gather, both virtually and in person, is one of the ways that we can truly tap in to the depths of our soul, to access the silent language that is there for us in colors and symbols and textures, and to really hear the voice of our soul through another medium other than the voice, to come through our hands, or if we're dancing, so many different modalities of expression. And Sparkling Shamelessly is so much about being in our true raw essence and our fullest expression. And when we allow ourselves to create and play and step into the experience of making art as medicine, instead of trying to create a finished work of art or something that, the world deems as beautiful, but instead being in a process that unveils more of our truth, more of our radiance, more of who we truly are, that to me is really what the medicine of art is. And the fact that you can also access these visionary realms as you can with plant medicine or other types of modalities, it is another way in to commune with the divine, to be in a shamanic visionary space and to channel and receive information that you might not be able to access otherwise. So those are some of the reasons that I bring art as medicine into everything that I do, and just the beauty of what comes through, the realizations, the ahas, the magic that transpires as well in when we come together to create art in community. It's this creative trance that takes you into this vortex, which I know you're all already experiencing here today, which is why we're gathered for Soul Art Day. And just allowing yourself to be in that vortex, to be in that magic, and to see what wants to come through you now, what wants to be birthed through you out in the world, that which can only come through you and your unique soul sparkle. So art is medicine. That's what I have to say.
Woo! Warming it up. Yeah. Warming it up, ladies. All right. Thank you very much. So something that I wanted to share, and then I'm going to bring in Avi. This piece, which you might not be able to see as a glare, but Avi did this as a channel piece to get a vision for this year's Soul Art Day. So Avi, I'd love to welcome you into the conversation and tell us a little bit about how art is medicine for you.
Hi guys, it's so amazing to see you guys in the studio, and I remember being back there, and it's amazing that you are bringing this drawing in, because as I'm looking at oh god, I forgot your name, who just spoke? Yeah. Check it out, she's in there.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'll hold it up close. Hold it up close.
Isn't it amazing? You see the mohawk being?
That's amazing. You knew.
Yeah, so I'm like thrilled once again. It's like art as medicine and art as magic and whatever it is. I have no idea. But yeah, so my name is Avi, and I'm a transformational artist. I've been the creatrix of Fully Seen and a mentor now for creative change agents, that I call them. And I've been using what I call channel drawing, which you just saw, basically is intuitive art, just like drawing without having any concept of what you're going to be doing, just letting go. And I've been doing this for many years, and it's such a process that inspires everything that is being said. It's like connecting with your soul, receiving messages once you hold an intention. It's like very much in line with Laura's teaching of the body mapping. And for me personally, it's like I use art to process my own, it's like in the last years, it's a lot about the healing process of trauma integration for me. So more and more I see, it's like that when I use art, that it brings me back to my own power place. And this is what has been lost, it's like in the wounding that I've, come here to experience. Art has been my tool when I don't have language to just bring everything in, presence everything. It's like everything has the space to be there, and to trust that process, and to trust myself again, and to trust, it's like I do have an amazing power, when you channel, and when you open the channel for art, that I had no idea that this is possible through art. And yeah, I use this for myself. I use it with other people. It's just magic.
Totally amazing. And yeah, that's so cool, Avi, about the rainbow kind of mohawk there. So on the topic of working with traumas, I think that in many situations, we turn to creative outlets, creative expression, because we don't have a language to process deeper things. And then art or voice, singing, dancing, poetry, they become ways to access these deeper layers. And so I'd love to weave in Shelley Clammer into the conversation. And I know, Shelley, you do a lot of work with the emotions and using art to dive into the emotions and process emotions. I'd love to hear from your perspective what art as medicine means for you.
Okay, thank you. So lovely to be here with everybody. So just a little intro before I start. I'm an expressive artist, which is a spontaneous artist, an intuitive artist. I'm also an online counselor for creative people, and I'm also a writer on the art of emotional healing. And so just a little bit about my journey to explain why I do what I do is in my 20s, I was a very conventional artist. I was a gallery artist. And then I went through crisis-induced spiritual awakening when I was about 30. But 5 very close members of my family died within a year. And so just everything, all of my human conditioning fell away for about 3 months. And I experienced no emotional pain, no social self-consciousness. I felt a lot of joy. And I changed my whole life within that 3 months. I decided to live this great, big, visionary, creative life. I fell in love with my life partner. I moved away from my hometown. It was just, I made all of these radical changes, and then all my humanness came back in. And so, and it just felt even worse because it's just so depressing after you've experienced such a height to come right back in and descend right back in. And so I spent the next 10 years privately journaling my shame, my guilt, my pain, my anger, my sadness. I did a lot of intuitive painting, a lot of intuitive drawing, and I love intuitive collage. I find it very immediate and quick. And then 10 years ago, I started to facilitate the expressive arts, and I started to teach, and then I got my counseling training. But for me, it's very underpinned by doing a lot of deep emotional work myself. So that's how
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how, so much happened for you kind of all at once. And then you were able to go through that and almost not have to process it immediately. But then when you were ready, to have tools to support you and to move through that with the art and the writing. And it's so powerful. And I think that that's really what this conversation is about, is reminding ourselves, and also introducing, if it's a new idea, that art is available for us to connect with a deeper place where we are safe, where we are okay to move through the shame or anger or discomfort, and we can receive what it wants to give to us. And so I'd like to invite in Devin. Devin was here last year in the studio, and Devin creates art that is expressing the energy, like kind of the communication that we don't always have the words for, but like giving it a visual expression. So Devin, I'd love to hear from your perspective what art as medicine means for you.
Hi, thank you so much, Laura. I'm happy to be here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Devin, and I do abstract mixed media art. But yeah, art as medicine, I'm really resonating with what everybody's saying around as it's a place to process trauma. And I really think that's because it's a very safe space where we can engage with the shadows that come up within the process. I notice that whenever we channel in the light, our traumas rise to meet that. And art is a way that we get to engage and grapple and intimately get to know it in a way that's safe, which I think that we don't have access to, especially if we don't have access to, paid spaces that are held for us, like therapy. Art is so accessible, and I think that's what makes it so magical. Mm-hmm. And for me too, art as medicine, in terms of my personal journey, I've always been really, like you said, how I do energy paintings, like very in tune with an etheric place that doesn't have language, and it doesn't even have concrete visuals like we have here in the physical. And so art has given me this way to bring that part of myself into the physical. And so it's been very medicinal in that sense as well. So both as a place to bring through my light and my shadows, I think that's really like the medicine, weaving it all together.
Yeah. And beautifully expressed too, for someone who goes into the abstract of shapes and colors. Hearing your words very articulate about what that is. And, that comes from actually being in the space. Like, I think we find the words after we have to feel it. We got to be with it. And then the word, it's just like you're talking about your own experience. And so I can hear in your words, you experience and embody that. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. So I'd like to introduce Alexis Cohen here. And Alexis is an ascension artist. So something, Devin, that you had mentioned, this idea of like, when you connect up with the light, it kind of brings up your stuff. So Alexis, as an ascension artist, I'd love to hear your perspective on art as medicine.
Yes. Well, it is so lovely to be here with all of you. And, I'm listening to everyone, and what's coming through is just my relationship with art and how it's evolved over time, and how I couldn't even separate art and healing when I was little. And at first it was like this preparation and healing process that I went through over this long period of time. And so what's been dialing in lately is supporting artists that are feeling that they're being called to the forefront of this new spiritual and creative evolution, ushering in this new earth, this new golden age on the planet. And so when I think of art as medicine, I see art as always portals and ways, a doorway into our allies, our communication with our allies and our spirit guides. And we get to become the channels, very bold and brave channels, listening to what our guides are communicating through us. And at this point in time, it's like we're riding this edge and we are creating and defining this for ourselves now. So oftentimes there isn't language, but it's coming through in colors and shapes and symbols. And so when I think of art as medicine at this time, it's like bringing in these new frequencies that are here to support the transformation and healing on the planet at this time.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Oh.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. And so, Sarah, it makes sense for you to come into this point of the conversation. Sarah is an artist in Scotland and just creates pure, like the colors and the energy coming through. I'd love to hear, Sarah, from your perspective, what art as medicine means for you.
So hi, first of all, hello.
Hey.
Everyone. This is so exciting. So I'm Sarah. I am from Scotland. I am a colour-loving artist. You can maybe see some of the pieces in the background behind me. For me, I think art as medicine is quite an interesting. It's quite an interesting topic. For me, medicine is almost the very opposite of what art is for me. Medicine for me has been particularly clinical and scientific, and it's the unknown because I have a creative mind. So to think of medicine, I think of it as something very much over there, and I'm sort of sitting here over here with my paints and whatnot. But interestingly, when my son was born, I was very unwell afterwards. And for me, I found that the two worlds, which seemed so far apart, my art and then this medical thing, which I really didn't have too much experience of, they kind of collided in a way I didn't expect. And I found that I had a lot of, I wouldn't have said trauma, but maybe the unexpected from the whole situation, and I had to find a way to process that. And interestingly, I found that this world of medicine, which had saved my life, and then this world of art, which had been my life, really did kind of combine and collide in this really incredible way. And I found that the way I had been expressing myself prior to this had completely shifted, almost like this traumatic event had really reshaped how I wanted to work. And so for me, art as medicine is now kind of all together. I suppose I find that my creativity is different because of this, in a wonderful way. I found that I can heal better because I'm dealing with the trauma of what happened and finding a way to deal with it in a way that I love, in a way that I know, and a way that brings me happiness again. I feel like it's like a way to pull forward and a way to move past it, but acknowledging it at the same time. So yeah, that's what art through medicine means for me.
Beautiful. It's so interesting, the journey that brought those two elements together for you. Because when I look at your art and I see so much color, and actually that's how I learned about you, because I'm like, who's this lady doing like color? And I was just like, I was following you on Instagram and so nourished. I felt joy. I felt like this healing bounty that was sort of flooding the canvases with this energy. And to me, that's very healing and soothing and inspiring and uplifting. And so it's really interesting to hear this journey that in many ways, it's almost like getting an appreciation for the joy that the art brings, and that being that's its own medicine.
Oh, totally. Absolutely. I think that for me, I like my paintings to bring happiness. I like when people look at them to just be uplifted and feel joy and happiness and basically want to bounce into the painting. That's what I want when I see people looking at my art. And I think it's so wonderful to find a way to express not just this tangle of stuff that happened with me, but I find a way to make it better, make it brighter, and experience the kind of positivity that I have now on the other side of it. So yes, this scary thing happened, but do you know what? I kicked it, and I'm here. And so I'm delighted with that. So I think if that can like come over in art, I think that's amazing. I think that art through medicine, I think that it's wonderful if you can kind of bring joy to people, not just for yourself, not just to kind of soothe myself and make me feel good, but if I can bring that to others as well, spot on. That does me proud.
And so it brings up this idea that, medicine for what, right? Because the art can be medicine for many things. It can be medicine to heal traumas, absolutely. It can be medicine that it lifts your mood. And suddenly it's like, you are a new frequency because of it. It can also be medicine because it can manifest, it can create realities. It's kind of like this elixir to shapeshift reality and make things happen. And so, Leah, I'd love to welcome you into the conversation. Leah was here with us last year in the studio. And, I feel in your work, and we've spoken about it too, you work with the medicine of manifesting with your art. So I'd love to hear from your perspective, what does art as medicine mean for you?
Well, thank you so much for having me back. I'm super excited to be here. Art as medicine for me is definitely a connection to the divine. And I think that all of us, we get a calling, whether you want to take it or not. And if we get that calling, we answer the call, and it's like that follow through process of, stepping up and going through the route of whatever it is that you want to bring into the world, whether it's the healing and raising your vibration and doing that. And I think that a lot of people get stuck. And that's the part where I'm a board certified art therapist. So I've been helping people heal a lot of traumas for the past 15 years, but also using the art for myself as medicine, of being able to have like a space to process it, but then having ideas and wanting to bring that into reality. And I'll just reflect back on last year in the studio, which was really amazing. This labyrinth came out, and I see, this manifesting process is this journey through the labyrinth, right? It has these twists and turns. We get lost along the way. And I saw a turtle within that labyrinth, and I was like, oh, wow, that's my medicine, that turtle medicine of just kind of like slowing down and just like really like listening to that part. But also what came out of that labyrinth was that I knew that I wanted to help people on a larger scale of like creating a walking labyrinth, which included the chakras of being able to walk through it and what it is that you want to manifest and putting it into the middle of the labyrinth. So just even creating this large scale event, which I did this past November, and it was amazing, but just the process of it was really tough. I mean, it really challenges you. Anytime you want to put something into the world, you are challenged. It's that the darkness comes up, and like you have to like really like work on your worthiness and your confidence and like manifesting that. And I think that a lot of us go through that process. So that's the part of, I really like to work with the chakras because I see them all as this like portal of like going in and just kind of seeing like where it needs to be balanced and then being able to get through those blocks. But also just going back to the art as medicine is like that, the experience of doing that manifesting labyrinth walk was so, the end, I felt so much bliss. Like, honestly, like it was like the biggest high. And I think that anytime that I want to manifest something, that's the satisfaction that I want, because I know that bliss is going to like transmute. It's going, that frequency is going to hit other people. And it's like, that is that healing of the world. Like Alexis was saying, like, raising that vibe. So we have to answer that call, and we have to go through the steps of, the hard parts, because it is challenging, when we get that call, like, how are we going to like, reach people and put it out there? So that's what I see, like, for myself, even for today, like when I was writing down my intentions, I was like, I really want that satisfaction. I really want to live in happiness and, just continuing to feed and follow the bliss.
Yay, amazing. And so, it's a journey, right? And the medicine is needed at every step of the journey, because first it gives the vision, art, it gives us the calling, the direction, the thing that's pulling us, guiding us. It gives us, whether it's a vision of it or a sense of it, connection with it. And then, of course, we're going to want to go to it. And in the process of going to it, we have to face all the stuff that's sort of like not in alignment with it. If we feel insecure, or if we feel whatever it might be. And then the medicine is needed then to move through that, navigate that, and kind of reconfigure our own DNA so that we're able to keep moving towards what we desire. And then there is a point where it manifests, as we keep on that path, and it's like the realization, and then there's the embodiment of that. So interestingly, here in the studio, Marie is also a medical doctor and an artist. And so I'd love to hear from your perspective, because you've really got a lot of range of looking at this. What is your perspective of art as medicine?
First of all, I just want to say thank you for creating these kinds of spaces where we are all free to express whatever it means. No agenda. Aho. And, so happy to be with all of you. And as everybody has been talking, I've been reflecting on the power of art in our lives, in everybody's life. And starting with me, when I discovered art, that I could create art about 4 years ago, my whole life changed. And I reached parts of me that I didn't even know existed. And that's what I've been thinking about before I get to the question, is that art for me has been the exploration of the unknown, and the exploration of the parts of us that we have never touched, we have never known existed, and that maybe we might, we're longing for, and we don't even know why. So it's really been powerful that way. And it is literally medicine too, as in medicine. I think about Leah, who was talking about DNA, and you who are talking about DNA. And I think about epigenetics, which is the science that deals with how the DNA, the genes, are passed. And it has been discovered that we do actually carry genes from ancestors that are like great, great, great ancestors. The environment, what you eat, it actually translates into your DNA. And so with the possibility that we have with the creation of art, we can actually direct the repatterning of our own DNA. Like, boom.
Boom!
Because it's, a lot of things that, people who are spiritual, creative, whatever term you want to use. And we have all been saying it helps you channel, connect to the divine and all that. There was no scientific language. And so I'm so happy that now it is being discovered. Because before it's like, have you had any double-blind control study that shows that? And it's like every day we're getting evidence. So your DNA, as you do your art, whatever that means for you, that's a big intention you can have right now to bring the new human within you, which is, I am repatterning my DNA with the energy of bliss or joy or courage, if that's what you need, or trust.
Well done. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. So, I think it'd be so fun for us to name kind of where we want to direct our art medicine energy. If art does have the power to give us vision, to heal, to manifest, to shapeshift our DNA, what is it we want to do in those things? Like, what is it that we want to create and use the art to help us to do that? So I'd love to go around and name, as best we can, what it is that what's the medicine of the art that we are personally working with in our own lives. All right. So I think I need to think about that one a second. Wow. All right. I'm going to call upon intuitively Devin, do you have something that you're wanting to create in your life or heal that you want to name that you want to use your medicine of art for?
That is a very powerful question. Yeah, I mean, two things came to mind when you said direct where we would like to direct the medicine, but when you put it in a more personal way, definitely what comes up for me is just like the permission to be my full self. And I think that's very simple, but it's very real. And I think that's always what I'm trying to do with art is it's like, I want more and more and more to heal all the times that I felt like it wasn't okay to be who I really am. And in the process too, I'm also learning about who I really am because so many of those parts have been buried without proper access. And it's like the deeper I go with my art, the more I'm healing that, the more permission I'm giving myself and hopefully to others. And the more I'm also like getting to know like all these parts of me that are Devin that are coming to life. And so, yeah, I think that's the intention.
Thank you. So as we're all listening, and if you're listening and watching this, I'd like you to be with that too. You know, we're here on Soul Art Day. The medicine of art is readily available. And we each get to choose what we want to do with that medicine. How do we want to work with it? What do we want to cultivate in our life? What's important to us? What matters? You know, and even just doing that starts to direct that and direct how the DNA is going to form in your being. And so, Lainey, would you like to share how do you want to use the art medicine in your life now?
For me, it feels really clear. It's personal and planetary healing and transformation. That really feels like the essence of pretty much everything that I do and everything I hold space for, these alchemical containers of transformation to allow us to give us permission to be who we are unapologetically and to heal the shame, the hurt, the wounds, to move through those alchemically and to transform them into gold so that we can truly shine with our full light in the world. And as such, create a constellation of star beings that are sparkling shamelessly to help flood the house of humanity with light and then help heal the planet in turn by shifting and changing and ascending with those energies.
You know, what's so fascinating about what you just shared is that sometimes when we're working with the medicine, it's so kind of in our own privacy. We almost don't even want to like name it because it's like, oh, I'm working on my, I got this issue. I don't really want to tell anyone until I resolve the issue, right? And then there's other times where it's like we're being used as a channel. The art can flow through us, and so the medicine can flow through us for something else, And so what I heard in that is that yes, it's your journey, but also there's something wanting to come through you that's for a bigger medicine. There's a bigger thing that wants to come through. And I think probably in all of our lives, we go between the sort of the intimacy of our own private vulnerability of things that we're working with the medicine for, and then times when we kind of come out on the other side and now we've got something to share. It's like time to like go out and expand and give the gift. So wherever you are in that, allowing the permission to work with the medicine in the way that you're really guided, that means something for you, that's going to nourish you. So Shelley, I would love to hear for you how you are working with the medicine now. What's relevant for you?
Oh, I'd love to share. Before I had my spiritual opening, I had this aching longing for joy. And I had started these joy books, like I was collecting colors and words and what would it feel like to feel joy, because I wasn't feeling joy. I was struggling in a really difficult relationship. I was repressing all my stuff. I was, just living this very, very almost uptight conventional life. And then after my opening, it was just like all the shadow stuff just came forth for 10 years. But the interesting thing about shadow work, I do want to mention is that, because we're kind of talking about two themes here. We're talking about processing our human stuff and also accessing the higher octaves of, spiritual joy and vision and all of those things, manifestation. And what I found when I was doing my shadow work was very encouraging, was whenever I cleared a layer of visionary art would come through. So I would go through really ugly periods of painting and drawing and dark and scribbly and and as a fine artist, that was disturbing to me in the beginning. But then it would alternate with this beautiful visionary art. So I still, I'm very spontaneous about my art. So whatever comes through, comes through. I don't sort of set an intention for it really, but recently I've been doing these very affirmative collages with really joyful words, joyful colors, kind of back to my scrapbooks way 20 years ago. And so that's what's naturally coming through. So what's coming through sort of naturally and spontaneously is that higher octave of joy, and I'm really enjoying it a lot. It's just delicious. It's so fun.
Totally. It feels amazing. It's so blissful. It's
Yeah.
amazing. And I feel like when we do open that space and we get that capacity of joy in our body, we have the foundation to do whatever the next chapter of the work might be, or the next layer that wants to come through. The joy and our connection to the higher octaves gives us actually a foundation. You know, I've always felt kind of, maybe this is just for me, but a lot of my root system is actually kind of in that higher octave connection, and it's more the journey of like bringing it down to the earth and the healing layers that have to go through to like bring that higher octave energy into integration in this reality.
Yeah.
So Sarah, I'd love to hear for you, because you're already working in this, like the higher frequencies with the color and the joy in your art and your painting. How do you want to use art as medicine now? Like now that you've had the experience of sort of, they're on two different camps and now they're kind of like how they're working together. How do you want to use the energy of art as medicine for your next life creation?
So I think for me, it's definitely finding a way to express my unique self. And for me, that has really, the person I defined myself as and the way I saw myself for the last 20 something years, that really changed because I became a mother 2 years ago. And with that, I found that my whole sense of self, my whole sense of identity shifted. And the person that I was before was no longer the person that I really identified with. And similarly, I've kind of found the way that I express myself creatively has also changed because I myself as a person have changed. So for me at the moment, I think my art is finding a way to figure out where I am and explore this new identity and revel in it and find all the wonderful things that are there. And yes, I can look back at where I was, but I think it's all about looking forward and finding the joy in the unknown, the joy in the new, the happiness, the wonderful things that are coming, the future. For me, it's all about this wonderful change and how cool everything has become, how amazing life is. I just think I'm finding out about who I am a lot more. And I love that I went from drawing in black and white a couple of years ago to painting in like full on color. So for me, it's a massive shift. And I think that's so exciting. It's such an exciting time. I love it.
Absolutely. Something that you mentioned there, this idea that, once you became a mother, it's almost like it births a child, but it also births the mother, because who is she now? And then I think in anything in our life, when we create things or we get a new job or a new relationship, it's like we're creating ourselves again. We're discovering who are we? What's our place in the world? And I think that is something we all go through again and again. Like, who are we? What do we want to do? And so, Marie, I'd like to ask you, because I know you're in a transition right now. How are you wanting to use the medicine of art to create the next thing for you?
What comes through is letting the medicine of art be a roadmap, be a portal to access this new me that is coming through, that I don't even know who she is. I have created space. I have done what I needed to do, and it's the container for the waiting, for the ripening, and just letting it carry me, and really trust the medicine of art to take me where I need to go.
Beautiful. Leah, I'd love to hear for you, because that pathway, that labyrinth, that's like what it takes to walk. That is trusting the medicine of art. You know, it's like sort of knowing how to navigate the clues and the messages and the insights and so on as they come up. So for you, where's the medicine of art guiding you now? Like, what's your next creation that you're wanting to cultivate?
I love what everyone's saying. I'm resonating with what everyone is like bringing up right now, especially with like the mama work, because that happened to me as well. I've been an artist all my life, but it was almost like a closet artist. I was always creating, but then when I had my kids, it was that awakening. I had that like dark night of the soul, and I was like incredibly depressed because I wasn't feeding myself anymore. You give that attention somewhere else. And then it came to the part where I need to feed and nurture that part of me so that it comes back to life, right? And that's when I like kind of stood my ground and I shed my skin. I was like, I'm coming out into the world and I want to be able to share my gifts. I want to be able to share my art and everything that I've learned to the world. So I think like the word that I would like to say, or what I've learned in this process, because I honor the darkness, the ugly art, I honor the beautiful art, because I feel like it's this ebb and flow and I'm always learning from it. But right now it's like it is about like this high vibe, this high frequency, because I know that as long as I'm feeding myself and like really honoring that time to nurture myself and that giving myself that satisfaction, it does resonate. I know that other people will feel it, and it's like it's not only healing for myself, but it's healing for everyone else. So right now I'm spending time on like a book that I'm creating, and I really feel like that's going to be healing for other people. It's like that guidebook that's nurturing, and it's like fuel for your soul. So just by creating it, it's healing me, but it's also going to be able to heal other people.
Totally. Yeah, this idea of nourishment.
Yeah.
And when we're creating, we are being fed and nourished, because the energy of spirit, soul, higher self gets to come through and hold us and care for us and guide us. And it's like soul food. It's totally soul food.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's so wonderful to hear that you're working on this book. And, and I often feel similar, like I'll work on something. I know it wants to do its medicine on me, but I also know that as it's doing that, and I'm kind of the guinea pig for it, then as I know it's made its way through me, I'm like, okay, now I can like share this, because it's like I kind of had to navigate through the energetics of it coming through. Yes. So then others can, so I hear that that's what you're doing with this book. Like you're moving it through your channel, you're getting the medicine of that. Yeah. Amazing. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. So Avi, I would love to hear for you, because I know that, you've been doing channeled drawings for years. I think it started really coming through when we first met I don't know how many years ago it was, and you were here in the studio a number of years ago as well for Soul Art Day. So for you, what is this next chapter about? What do you want to use the medicine of art for in your life now?
Well, for me, really, my journey here is healing separation and secrecy. And so art for me is really a way of creating connection in anything that I do, either as I'm also a designer, a brand designer. So I help people, it's like connect their medicine with the world. So for me, it's like creating connection, it's like when I channel, that's the easy part, connection to spirit has been, it's like the easy access, which helped me, it's like connecting with myself better. And now that, I feel like I've used that art to feel kind of my power again, it's like feel whole and know that I have a connection, up there, and healing my connection to earth and to the physical, like coming into the physical. My ultimate challenge is healing my connection with people. So, that real contact. And I've used my art, what I call, to create my power. And it's like feeling my power place, the inner power place. And so now that I have kind of went through this journey, I feel called, it's like helping other people, it's like connect with their own power place through their art, because I feel like once I have a connection to what I call power place, it's like who I am, but also uncovering where my power is held still from fragmentation, from all the things that we've gone through. Once I'm gathering this and feeling in my power, it's much more easier to connect with people. Because I'm less afraid of what they're thinking of me. I'm less afraid of, it's like what's going to happen. I'm less afraid of the unknown. Like, there's so many things that I feel keep us holding back, our power, our creations to share with the world and connect with people. So I've started, it's like my own mentorship program, which is called The Art of Revealing, really guiding people into their power place and, accompanying them to share their creations with the world. It's like being in that arena, which, we know like Brene Brown often speaks about. And it's like practicing the courage muscles, really, to share from this place of empowerment and really making our impact in a way. It's like, what do we do with all these wonderful gifts and the things that come through in helping this world heal also from disconnection, which is so much up right now. All this fragmentation that's happening in myself and that I see happens through digital media. I mean, I'm so glued to the screen all the time that I keep forgetting about where, it's like the actual real connection is.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at.
Thank you. Yeah, I received the transmission of that, and it reminded me of what started all of this work, which was actually, I think, a terror in many ways of people and connecting. And for me, how that manifested, I had acne. I mean, my skin was like flaring to like make sure I couldn't connect. And, it's interesting. I think that it's a deeper story in humanity of separation consciousness. It's like, I think we're learning how to be who we are here in this, in connection with others. So it's not like you're being but who you are when you're by yourself or in your own little world, but being who you are in connection in the world. And I think that that's actually the big art as medicine for this day, as we're in Soul Art Day, that we're creating who we are from the inside, connecting that with others. But it's a bigger story of what's happening in the world, where we're learning how to bring the frequencies of our essence to the planet. And I think that that's what actually creates the healing. It's like we become the art by being who we are, by bringing our expression, bringing our gifts, bringing our voice. And I love hearing each of you speaking about it, because I can feel your essence coming through. And that in itself is an artful medicine. It's like you being you. So obviously something that you touched on there that I felt the transmission of, that I'm speaking to now, is the idea of like finding your power, reclaiming your power, doing the work to access it. Because from that place, then there is the courage that comes to be able to connect. It's like our own connection to our power, who we really are, gives us the foundation to be safe in the world. Like that's the foundation. From there, we can connect. So I believe, Alexis, there's one more who hasn't shared yet on this note of what it is that you want to use the medicine of art for.
I just love how synchronistic this is. I'm like, what am I going to say? What am I, And so what I'm hearing, what's coming through is how, what I've noticed are there's a lot of highly sensitive and introverted people that are being called to step into bigger roles. And when you were just sharing, it's like, okay, so all of you who are highly sensitive and introverted, you are a master of journeying into these realms and these worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you are explorers of these worlds. You know what it's like to go there. And so I feel like the medicine, the call, is to come back and stand in that authentic power to bring the worlds that you go to, the frequencies, the energies, and the messages of those worlds, and bring them here. And it's just requiring so much bravery when you've identified. For me, it's a shy, introverted. And so the callings that I'm receiving from the guys now are like, oh, okay, yes, I'm going to say yes to this role and then figure out how to do it. And so right now, what I'm being called to do is to sing, to use my voice in a way that I never have used before. And I have a lot of stories and trauma around my voice and singing, but I'm going to do it. I'm saying yes to it. And so saying yes to this vision is, it's allowing me to heal in a way that I may have not had chosen if I wasn't focused on the vision and this calling that's coming through. And really this heart connection, like it's just coming from this deep place of love and dedication. Like there is a choice, but I feel like there isn't. So that's what I'm doing.
Do you want to sing?
Let's do it.
Would you like to sing?
Will you sing with me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll sing with you.
So
We're going to see what's going to happen.
okay, so the song that just came in right away was This Little Light of Mine.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You sing with me? Okay. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
All right, so whoever joined in on that, hope you had a space to make some noise. Thank you for that. Yeah, beautiful. So that is really what this day and this time is about. It's like you're connecting with your light, and it might feel like a little light, sometimes like a little light, maybe it feels big when you're by yourself or whatever, but it's like, it's here to expand. It's here to be in this reality. It's here to be on the planet with people. You have something to bring, and let yourself explore that. Let yourself connect with what it is. Give yourself the permission to, go through the things that come up, and know that when something comes up, whether it's a trauma or something to deal with, know that that's because you're being called to move through something. Mm-hmm. And you can use art. You can use art as medicine to carry you through that. Mm-hmm. So I want to thank you all for sharing, and all the people that were speaking in this conversation. The photos below the video, you'll see all the photos. Check out. There's so much richness, so much depth in each of the ladies that shared today. So I invite you to go and check that out. Check out their art, see what they're up to, let yourself be nourished and be sparked and inspired. And as you're working throughout this day, Soul Art Day, going at your own pace, give yourself permission to connect with your light and bring it out. I want to see you. I want to see you shining. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the ladies that joined us around the world to speak and share. Sending you tons and tons of love. Thank you.